And welcome back in. This segment of our program is brought to you by Games and Things. And many of us are spending more time at home than ever before. If you're as bored as I am, I haven't had a vacation since last July. I think I need a pool table, table tennis, arcade games. I need all that. And the one place you can go for all that? Games and Things. OurGameRoom.com to learn more. And just their fantastic showroom. You'll be amazed at all the stuff they have there. Not to mention all the accessories for pool, darts, whatever. They got it all. Games and Things. Entertain yourself. Get out there and improve your entertainment at home by visiting these folks. Games and Things. Okay. Players are just starting to voice their concerns about playing this fall. Groups in the American Athletic Conference, Pac-12, and now the SEC have all spoken up with the leaders of their leagues about their worries for the fall. Don't know what the percentage is early on in this thing. I think most of the polls showed that 90%, 95% of players are good. That was before this thing took off. I'm not sure that they view it the same way now, but you are starting to see some people bite back a little bit. During a teleconference a couple of weeks ago, a member of the SEC Student Athlete Leadership Council asked Commissioner Greg Sankey, for so much unknown in the air right now, is it worth having a football season without certainty? Sankey replied, part of our work is to bring as much certainty in the midst of this really strange time as we can so you can play football in the most healthy way possible, with the understanding there aren't any guarantees in life. The call went on, and there were some guys saying these answers aren't good enough.
Yeah.
Josh, your thoughts on hey, there's no guarantees. I didn't think that was a great answer. Your thought?
It probably was not to the players either. And I think there's so many layers because those players who are voicing their concerns, I think most of them, maybe all of them, want to play, but they want to play in the right circumstance. When you see letters from the Pac-12 or Big Ten players or a conference call like that, and players are voicing their concerns, I think that's because they want better assurance as much as they can get. That's why the NFL has been brought up. Hey, the NFL was able to fight for this, but the NFL has a players union that was able to agree with the owners, and that's how they came to work things out to start up training camps. That doesn't exist in college. College players want that, but presidents don't want that, right? In college. So some of the things that you want to do to help them, you worry about how that might affect you in the future. Presidents, athletic directors, they don't want players to be paid. And right now, I don't think they're going to. But if you're trying to make a situation that makes them look like pros, they're going to have a better argument to get paid in the future. And around and around we go.
Will, as a former player, and you're somebody, the NCAA and schools all want you to think that we get the athlete first. That's first in our heart and our mind. His well-being. You know that there are times when they tell you, you don't need surgery. Season ends. Hey, your surgery is scheduled for January 3rd. So there are issues there. Your thoughts as a former player on all this, where would you be right now looking at this landscape? First, we know you'd want to play.
Yep.
But what kind of answers would you be looking for? What are your thoughts on these talks? Just open her up.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that these kids are having those conversations and thinking through that. Because I can tell you personally, I'd want to play. I'd want to be out there. I'd be pushing for that. The problem is just like why we have concussion protocol. It's not always for the player to decide what's right for them at certain times, because guys would go out there and put their health in danger all the time, and they do. Sometimes the adults, the people that are getting paid millions of dollars, are responsible for protecting them. And that's what you have in this situation here. You have one group that they have a voice, they can say stuff, but they're not at a negotiating table. They're not in a position of power to say, we're going to shut this down if you guys continue to make stupid and unwise decisions. No, they have to go along and get along with what the people that are in power put in place. And unfortunately, that means if that makes a decision that leads to bad consequences, that group should be held highly accountable in every way possible. And so they're not giving these players a lot of choice. They're saying be a part or not part, and thinking that they have a choice that a team starts and you're able to quit and still have your scholarship position is ridiculous. That won't happen. It's not the NFL. So what these guys have to be able to understand is if they're going to do this and go down this path, be ready for the worst case scenario and be ready to pay when that day comes.
We'll get into the worst case scenario in the next segment. David, your thoughts on where things are. There is no union for these players, at least not right now. I think those days are coming. But there is no union. I think it's more difficult for a college kid to be vocal with concerns than it is for a pro athlete who's got millions in the bank, who might already have a championship, and who's an adult, and who can look around at the other men in the room and say, guys, I don't want to leave you high and dry on this team, but I'm out. I think that's much, much more difficult for an 18 or 19-year-old kid.
Yeah, players obviously don't have a voice. They don't get to name like the NBA or like the NFL or some of those what the protocol is for, hey, this is how we want things to look when we feel safe. And so you look at leaking this stuff, that's one of the only avenues that they have. Why do things get leaked? Well, because people that were involved say, this is messed up, and we want to get a louder voice to what we just heard. The SEC was not pleased that that whole audio got leaked, and that sort of gives a look at how some of these guys are feeling about this. You had players from every single SEC team, including Tennessee, represented on that call. Not sure exactly who leaked it, but obviously they weren't pleased with what happened. At least a few people weren't.
Well, and they didn't. It was a recording.
A recording of the entire meeting.
Here's what we were told they said.
Yeah.
Here are the tapes of what was said.
Yep.
So somebody recorded that conversation and leaked it. It is interesting. There's this argument. The kids want to play, just let them play. I think most kids do want to play. But that doesn't mean they don't have concerns that are viable concerns, real concerns. And at the same time, you made a great point that I had not considered is the concussion situation. Players would play right through a concussion if you gave them the choice. But sometimes you have to take that choice out of their hands, and you're counting on those people who may get called to Capitol Hill to make the right decision for them. That's interesting. Had not thought about it. It's a great comparison. When we come back, worst case scenario, what happens in one of those situations with football in general, with the season? We'll talk about the worst case. Come on back.